The life of a content creator on YouTube can be a very fickle thing, especially when you forget to hit record and allow your microphone to process, and it actually records your voice. But anyway, I digress. Being a content creator on YouTube can be tricky because you want to get the information out, especially someone in my position where I like to talk about all the nonsense and the bullshit going around the internet, the double standards, the name calling, oh, using blanket statements to cover all kinds of different people from all different demographics. And I call it out, I talk about it, and I run my mouth, and I tend to go off on tangents here and then. But in this situation, I was planning on making a video about this, and then I didn't because I was tired, and then I did, and I was going to, and then more information came out. What on earth am I possibly be talking about? I'm talking about the beloved movie, Lilo and Stitch, and the atrocity that will be the live-action version of it. But in this case, Pirates and Princesses talked about this. This is a website run by the lovely people at Clownfish TV. I suggest if you don't follow them, you should. They're wonderful, absolutely wonderful people. But they reported Disney introduces Cobra Bubble's replacement in the live-action Lilo and Stitch. And it was talking about this actress. Yes, this article has been corrected. But the actress, what's her name, Jolene Purdy, would be taking the place of Cobra Bubbles. Now, they issued an update. And they issued that update at the beginning of the article, which is what you're supposed to do. When you make a mistake, you own up to it. But what caused this mistake? And that's what I want to talk about today. What started this little mistake? So they got their sources from Night Edge Media. So I went over to Night Edge Media, and they reported on April 17th, Lilo and Stitch live-action movie adds Jolene Purdy and newcomer. I'm not even going to try. Machado. We'll call him Machado. That's a good name. But they mention it, and they have this little quote down here about Jolene Purdy being cast as a social worker. Well, there's only one social worker that people know anything about in Lilo and Stitch, and that is the great Cobra Bubbles. So, people would believe that, especially based on what Disney does and what Hollywood does by gender swapping, race swapping, countless beloved characters from decades-old franchises. It's just what happens. And anyone who sits there and says it's the best person for the job, you are a liar. We all know it. It's why the general populace, the silent majority, are turning away. They're turning Disney off. They're not watching the garbage anymore. If you try to sit there and say people aren't interested in animated shows, okay, Mario movie is closing in on $800 billion. Okay? Disney's Lightyear and Strange World lost $250 million. So you can't, there's no more excuses. There are no more excuses. People want good, family-oriented shows. They want something they can take their kids to and enjoy themselves. That's why the Mario movie is going to break $1 billion before all is said and done. But as Knight's Edge Media puts it, they go on. They learned that Jolene Purdy and the newcomer Machado to the cast of Lilo and Stitch. And it mentions just this little quote, a social worker, a practical, by-the-book kind, yada, yada, yada. I'll read that in a minute. But where did that information come from? It took me a little while to find it, but over here, on yet another website, Disney Plus Informer focuses on Jolene Purdy. This was actually done the next day. So this was on the 17th, April 17th, and this was on April 18th, where they specify. They actually clarify. Jolene Purdy joined the cast of Disney's live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch. You probably recognize her from, Orange is the New Black. She was in WandaVision. I didn't watch that. Purdy joins previously announced cast newcomer Maya Kiloa. I'm going to butcher names because I'm a goofy redneck. Not a redneck, I'm a coon-ass. Anyway, who will play Lilo in the movie? Sydney Elizabeth Agudong, who is being ridiculed on social media, on Twitter, and on Instagram because she's just not tan enough. She is a Hawaiian native, born and raised apparently, but she's just not tan enough to play Nani. So she's being attacked by lunatics, which is the only thing I can describe them to. They're lunatics. Don't ever go after the actor or the actress for accepting a job. That's asinine at best. If you want to go after the character, that's fine. Like Reva in the Obi-Wan series. That was a terribly written character. No fault to the actress whatsoever, but she got some nasty comments, and Ewan McGregor came out and disparaged Star Wars fans who criticized the show. It was a badly written character that shouldn't have been in the show. Don't go after the actor. Don't go after the actress. Go after the role. Go after the studio that cast her. Don't go after the actress. Newcomer Machado, who will play Nani's love interest David, and Zach Galifianakis and Billy Magnussen in undisclosed roles. So, Zach Galifianakis, I'm going to put him as Jumba. That's what I'm going to guess. That's what I'm going to call Zach Galifianakis, unless, of course, he does Stitch, which is possible. We'll see. According to Night's Edge, Purdy will play Child Services Agent Miss Kakoa in the live-action movie. A description of the character is below. Now, again, why would you immediately think that Miss Kakoa was replacing Cobra Bubbles? Because, again, this is what the mainstream has done to people. You see one little thing like this, and it throws up a red flag, and people will jump to the worst-case scenario. Obviously, the worst-case scenario in this is that you take Cobra Bubbles, a beloved character for anyone who watched Lilo and Stitch. Wonderful. Have you ever killed anyone? We're getting off the subject. Anyway, fantastic scene in the movie. I loved it. I've seen it hundreds of times. Fantastic. So, and based on this quote, a social worker, a practical, by-the-book kind, and patient woman who checks in regularly with Nani, whom she can tell is struggling to keep her head above water while taking care of her younger sister. However, she can't help but be alarmed by what she finds at the house, unnerved to think that young Lilo is not receiving the supervision she needs. These are all things that Cobra Bubbles did. Everything that's being described in this paragraph. So why wouldn't people think that she's replacing Cobra Bubbles? Was it an unreasonable conclusion to jump to? I don't think so. But again, more information comes out. Remake is said to be same story as the 2002 animated film, but it's going to bomb. I'm going to predict this right now. Just like Peter and Wendy, just like The Little Mermaid, just like all the other live-action abominations. Release them to the theater, because then people will be able to see the box office. They'll be able to see the numbers, and you won't have any more excuses. You won't have the coof to blame it on. You won't be able to blame it on the movies are too expensive. Super Mario, almost $800 million. That is not an excuse anymore whatsoever. It is the quality of your film. Now, also earlier yesterday, they did announce who the actor is who's playing Cobra Bubbles. He's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, and this makes me very happy. But who is the actor? None other than Courtney B. Vance, cast as Cobra Bubbles in Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch. Vance joins previously announced cast members of names I do not want to butcher over and over again. I would probably butcher Zach Galifianakis if I didn't hear it already. Disney declined. Wait, what? Courtney B. Vance has joined the cast of Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch as Cobra Bubbles. The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. Disney declined to comment. What would they want to comment on? Previously announced cast members of a bunch of names I don't want to butcher. Stitch naturally will be CG Confection. Dean Fleischer Camp, the filmmaker behind Indie Darling and Best Animated Feature Oscar nominee Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, is directing the remake that is intended to be a major release on Disney Plus. Jesus Christ. They do not have any faith in their product. If all they're doing is releasing these movies to Disney Plus, that tells you they have no faith anymore in anything they are producing. Obi-Wan should have been a movie, but they took it and they added one filler after another and made it 6 episodes, and it was canon-breaking garbage. You cannot convince me otherwise. Why aren't they releasing these things to theaters? Why go through the process already? It's going straight to Disney Plus. They do not have faith in it. This is going to bomb. But since they don't have to release the numbers, it's just going to be the most watched thing on Disney Plus when it comes out. But as compared to what? They're not going to tell you. I'm happy that they're keeping the general look of the characters. I don't have a problem. I don't see the issue because Nani's live action counterpart doesn't have enough of a tan. Have your criticisms, but be consistent. If one is okay, then so are the rest. It's perfectly fine to have Halle Bailey cast as Ariel in The Little Mermaid. If that's perfectly fine, so is Sydney Elizabeth Agudong. I'm just going to call her Sydney. If it's okay to race change Tinkerbell because she's a fictional character, then it's perfectly okay to have someone with a little less of a tan. And don't come at me with any culture bullshit because I watched the movie, I said it before, and I'll say it again. You're looking for something to complain about? When things don't go your way, live with it. How about we just judge the show for the show? Unfortunately, there are too many red flags to ignore, and Disney's live action attempts have been less than appealing, to say the least. But that's all I'm going to run my mouth on about this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. I thank you for making it this far. I'll see you on the next one.